We're going live. Every single time I do this, now that they've done some hi there, good people. Jason here, Green Country Air Force. Every time I do this, now that they've done these updates to StreamYard, it keeps on popping up. Says, would you like to show the intro video? I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, I would, but I haven't put together an intro video for live streams, so I don't have one, so I can't show one. But yeah, I would love to, but I just don't happen to have one. Sorry. So anyway, hi. See, short of sleep, spine not quite. Ike. Oy. Yeah, having back trouble is no fun. No fun at all. I've taken to lying flat on the floor. I've got a mat that I lay out, so I don't have my back directly on the floor. It's not because that would be a problem. During the summer, that's just fine, but in the winter, the floor gets really cold and it sucks the heat right out of you. But I've discovered that even the firm mattress on the bed isn't firm enough for me anymore, so I've been sleeping on the floor. It just gets all my vertebrae in the appropriate spot. Sup. Hello, John. Hello, Mary. Hello, Vicky. Hello, everyone. Let me move this microphone out of the way over here. So tonight we're going to do some fun stuff with cuttings. Yeah, buddy. Back here behind me are a couple of these things. They're from that place that was formerly known as the dollar store, which is no longer a dollar store. Right. These cost $5 each, which is pretty good. They're about 5 gallons capacity. And earlier today, yeah, beds are a modern thing. As long as you got some kitties to run around and make sure that the rats and the snakes aren't getting to you, then you're fine. You don't have patrol kitties to make sure that the rats and snakes aren't getting to you. Sleeping on the ground can be sometimes a perilous thing, because you may wake up in the morning and have instead of a cat curled up there between your feet, you've got a rattlesnake. But having a cat pretty much make sure you don't have the rattlesnake. All right. So before we get started, I want to give you our embedded message from the Creator today. It is God is good, and because God is good, remember to be kind. All right. So with that bit of business out of the way, let's get started. All right. So these are 5-gallon pots. We got them from the formerly known as dollar store. Let me turn off this fan here, because you're probably picking up lots of noise from the fan. In order to prepare these, before we got busy, before we got started, I took water from the stove and I put it up there, from the wood stove, where it's kind of warm from the wood stove going. Moved it over to the regular stove, got the heat on it, got it up to just short of boiling, and then we poured it over these and let it soak in there for about an hour or so. We did that with both these spots. So we hydrated the peat moss with boiling water, and I had the fan running on them because they're still a little bit hot. And the idea behind using boiling water to hydrate your peat moss, especially if you're doing seed starting or anything like that, is sometimes your fungus gnats like to come in. They lay their eggs inside the peat moss, and you have fungus gnats. You've got all sorts of little critters that might cause a problem for you. And so just boiling hot water over there helps to sterilize your medium. Hopefully that will reduce the chances of things that you don't want interfering with the process. All right, give me just a second here. I got to go grab a bucket. This bucket right here. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and I got to change this up a little bit. Let's take this pot down. Set this up. Oh, it's nice and warm. Set that to the side, and we're going to get this bucket here, which is going to be the bucket we're going to work out of. All right. There's one thing I am missing, by golly. You know what it is? 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 It's my clippers. I don't know where I put my clippers. Let's see. Vicky's talking about degenerative vertebrae. Yeah, that's no fun at all. At all. Grandma gave up bits of her body parts to the fire ants. Yeah, making the sacrifice to the ant gods, huh? I think it was more they took them than she voluntarily gave them up. Mm. Give me just a second here. I'm gonna grab my clippers real quick. Otherwise, this will get sloppy. Isn't that embarrassing? Boy. What, you've never forgotten anything? All righty. Okie dokie. All right. Food foresting barefoot comes with a yeah, it does. I'll tell you what. Uh you've got a you've got an extra special challenge there in South Carolina because I don't think there's really a whole lot you can do to ever totally get rid of the fire ants. They're part of the landscape and they're just going to be there. I mean, you can encourage a lot more lizards and some things that may eat the fire ants, but you're probably always going to have them with you. It's, yeah. It's one of the prices that you pay for having warmer weather for more of the year. Of course, you can always go further south, and then you'll be fully in the tropics. Then it'll be hurricanes that you've got to put up with. I suppose every place has its challenges, huh? All right, so I've got some clippers here. These are Fiskars. They're a little bit awkward. Generally speaking, Fiskars makes good stuff. This particular design, the intention was, you check this out before you go buy one. It's not a bad pair of clippers, especially if you have weak grip in your hands. Now, if you have good, strong grip in your hands, then maybe you don't care about this so much. But if you have a weak grip, this is cool. This set of handles is made so that whenever you pull them, you see how the handle kind of cams. See, it's oh, sorry. So it kind of applies leverage for you as you're closing it. So if you've got weak hands, you're getting up there, you got arthritis or whatever, these might actually be a good choice for you. They didn't pay me to say that. I'm just making the observation. All right, let me get back over here. I went out earlier today and I got all of these. These guys are cuttings from the clipper envy. You should be able to find a pair on Amazon. They're not too expensive. Just go to Amazon and search Fiskars clippers, probably 17, 18 bucks. I mean, that's probably with shipping. They're not too bad. So I went out to the flowering quince bush that we've got that's in between us and the church next door. I got to be careful with this one here because it's still got a thorn on it. It is a thorny bush, incidentally. It's a member of the Rosacea family, so it does have thorns. There's an example of some of the thorns, right? But this is a plant that likes to grow kind of in shady spots. You can grow it anywhere from zone 5 all the way up into zone 9. It likes to have a bit of shade, and being a member of the Rosacea family, it does produce a fruit that is high in vitamin C. So you've got a bush that likes shade, that makes vitamin C fruits. What's not to like about this particular plant? Let me put this one with the thorns on it over here to the side so I don't accidentally grab it. I almost did that earlier today, and I went, oh yeah, one of these has got thorns on it still. So the church next door is actually on their side of the fence. So sometimes it comes over on my side, and then they want to keep it pruned. So I said, okay, I'll prune it for you. I want to grab cuttings. They said, go for it. we get it pruned for free, and I get cuttings. So I grabbed cuttings. And right now we're at the for people that don't have a calendar or are watching this later on. Right now it's the 5th of February, and flowering quinces, depending upon the weather, sometimes we'll have them start blooming as early as mid-January here, or late January, mid to late January, third week, fourth week of January. We're here at the first week of February. They're just starting to, down there on the inside of the hedge, where they've got some frost protection, they're starting to put on some leaves, some nice green glossy leaves, and starting to produce these little red blooms. And one of the things that we're going to have to look out for on these whenever I'm starting to make cuttings of them is to check these buds down here, and I get close to the camera. I want to check those buds and make sure they're not already starting to produce a bloom. If they're starting to produce a bloom, then they've already chosen to produce flowers. They don't have the option of choosing something else with the application of hormones. So I want to just double check and make sure I'm not getting ready to pop loose any flowers here real quick. Pardon me. I guess we'll probably look at these again each one we do. So we'll do it that way too. All right. I want about 9 inches of cutting and probably not much more. Let me see. So I could probably get 2 cuttings out of this piece here. Let me start with my longest ones. That one's long, that one's long, that one's long, that one's long. All right. Here we go. So these ones I might just want to take one cutting out of, length depending. Let's see. Yeah. But these ones I might be able to get 2 out of. So that's what we'll try doing. For starters, we're going to come across the bottom here, and we'll find buds. There's a bud here. And we want to cut about a pinky's width below that. And we're going to cut that at sort of a 45-degree angle. And make a big mess, of course. All right. So let's see. There we go. It'll look about like that. A little bud showing, a little cut at the end. All right. Now I'm going to measure off with my hand. I already know my hand's about 9 inches from my thumb to my pinky. So we're going to go up here. There's about 9 inches. Let me find a bud at the top. There's a bud right there, close to that 9-inch mark. And I'm just going to cut right above that, about 1 inch or 2. That top bit's going to dry, and hopefully it'll dry up somewhere in between where the cut is and where the bud starts, and that bud will be the top bud. So there we go. We have a prepared cutting, everything we need except for applying rooting hormones. We'll set that to the side. And then we still got the rest of that easily, right? So we have enough for, there is 2 cuttings. So make sure that this bud there hasn't got too much extra stuff. There we go. All right. These guys are ready. Now I need to put them somewhere. Oh my goodness. Lemoik, says John. Yay. John's asking if I'm going to use using rooting hormone. I will be using some indole 3-butyric acid because it helps. It helps. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't use it, and I guess I would learn to not miss it too much. But as long as I can get it, I'll go ahead and use it. A good substitute, if you don't, and you can't get it for some reason, is the thing that my grandmother used to use and she swore by, which is willow water. So you get yourself a willow tree and have that growing somewhere nearby for you. And whenever you want to do some cloning or cuttings or stuff like that, go out and trim a couple of branches. And you peel those and you scrape the cambium into your water source. Oh, part of the reason why you want to make sure you always have that 45-degree cut on the one side and a square cut on the other is so later on, yeah, this is Allison. But later on, whenever you don't remember which way is which, you can look at the cut and go, oh, okay, this way is up. Because at some point while you're doing this, the phone's going to ring, somebody's going to knock on the door. You'll get a message alert. You'll have to respond to some troll that's trying to flame you. And whenever you get back to what you were doing, you'll realize that, oh crud, which way was the branch pointing whenever I was cutting it? and to avoid that problem, just make sure that your down pointing end has a 45-degree cut on it from the very beginning, and that way you don't have to worry about ever having gotten confused. Yeah, nip it in the bud, so to speak. Hello, Joe Serrano, and Mama Sushi. I do. Yeah, you're hardly late at all. I mean, that's kind of early for you. You usually try to be stylish late. Slide in to the back after the front seats are already occupied. Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I think I want to just. Okay, it's still good. I'm gonna come up here and cut a little bit higher on this one. I don't know. There was something about this one bud. It just, I don't know. That one bud there. You can't really see anything different about it from the outside. It's just, it didn't feel lively. I don't know how to put it. It didn't feel lively. It felt like maybe it suffered an injury and didn't really want to do anything. So, yeah. I don't know. No. I think this one, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come up that last bit. I cut these off earlier. Yeah. Here. I cut these guys earlier, so they've been getting a little dry. Vicky's saying that plenty of willows of various kinds here in the ravine bottom. They thrive near water. Yeah. One of the ways that you can tell if you've got water somewhere nearby on your property is look for willow trees. Even if you don't have surface water that's there that you can see, if you've got a low spot with willows growing in it, they've got their roots in water somewhere. That's a good place to go look for it. Willows, cottonwood, alder, any one of those trees, if you've got it, look where its roots are going. Its roots are going into a water supply. Those are pretty good indicators. Church next door is having service tonight, so the neighbors' dogs are having a conniption. There's strange people, strange sights, strange smells. We don't know what to do. Oh, let's bark at them. There we go. So this is flowering quince for the people that are just coming in. Flowering quince is a shrub that likes to grow in the shade. It grows in USDA zones 5 through 9. It enjoys somewhat acidic soil, but it's tolerable of other soil types. Vicky is saying sycamore is another good indicator. Yeah. Yep. It is. Sycamore, on the other hand, it's like almost a guaranteed dedicated river bottom tree. So you're going to find it next to water anyway, because you're at the bottom of the river or down there at the river bottom. All right, let me get this thing cut here. And go up more. Right there. Okay. Flowering quinces. So they like to flower around here in zone 7. They're going to be flowering from late January into February. They have brilliant red flowers, and whenever they produce fruit, they produce a fruit that's high in vitamin C. Typically, it's not very sweet, so you'd have to add sugar to it if you wanted to have sugar. But as far as something to help you out with your vitamin C requirements, having something like this is handy. John's saying soil is alkaline here, so maybe not the best thing for your location, but it can tolerate alkaline soil as long as it's not too alkaline, like 7.5, 7.8, maybe even on the 8 up to 8. I haven't seen it, beyond 8. The backyard here is somewhere between 7.5 and 7.8. So it's a little alkaline back there, and they do just fine. They don't fruit as well as they maybe could, but they're also in some pretty deep shade as well. I think one of the main reasons why I haven't seen a lot of fruit from these guys is just lack of cross pollination. There's not other quinces in the neighborhood for them to cross pollinate with. It's just that one bush. So, clone army. Here we go. We're making a clone army. Vicky's been used limestone and acid clay. Ooh. Well, you know what that means. That means that you're in the process of liberating phosphorus from your limestone. So as long as your pH stays somewhat balanced between your two extremes, should be all right. Okie dokie. Let's see how many of these we've got real quick. Here we go. At 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. I could probably fit about a dozen for each one of these 5-gallon pots behind me. So I've got 16. So I need 8 more. Okay. We can get 8 more. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I want to use this one, 8. Okay, so I've got extras. I'm going to cut these thorns off. I don't need the thorns. There we go. All right, and all I have to do on these ones is just put that little 45-degree cut on the bottom, make sure that we've got a good bud. And since I cut these earlier today, all I'm going to do is skip this first bud, go to the second, just like that. La 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 la. So it's telling us how good sycamores grow down there. Really? Central Mexico. Yeah, they get huge though, don't they? They get huge. That one we had next door was so big, and I was worried that because it was getting old. It's one of the problems with having sycamores in a neighborhood. So they get big. I mean, they get big. And then whenever they get old, after they get big, they start shedding limbs, which, out there on the bottoms is not a problem. But if it's next to your car, it can be. And so we didn't want it dropping limbs on somebody's car while they're next door attending services or anything. Pardon me. Mm-hmm. So we saved up our sim bucks, and we put out a call for a tree trimmer service, because that was a little bit too big for me to handle by myself. We had a couple fellows come out, and their climber was from Central Mexico, and apparently he does this all the time. And this guy just went boom up in the tree and dropped the limbs, neat as you please. Worth every penny we paid him. All right, here we go. I have got 24 cuttings. We're going to go ahead and get them prepped up for sticking back in there. To do that, I'm going to go grab one of the aloe vera plants, and we're going to use a little aloe vera trick. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. I know, we're just going to walk away from the camera. Holy crud. Can't believe they did that. So unprofessional. Ma, this guy just walked away from the camera to go get some aloe. All right. So if you don't have this stuff, if you can't get it for whatever reason, collapse of the, oh, sorry. Let me hold this up there so you can see what it is. You can get this over the counter in a lot of places, or you can order it up from Amazon. It works too. Indole 3-butyric acid. It's just basic rooting hormone. If you, for some reason, supply chain collapses, you can't get this, not a problem at all. Go get your willow, strip some of the bark off it, put it down in a bucket, make a tea with that willow bark, and then after it cools, because boiling hot, you take that and you soak your cuttings, these guys, once you've got them ready, and you soak those overnight, so they've got a little bit of that juice from the willow bark drawn up into them. And then whenever you go to transplant them, they've already got the hormone in them from the willow bark. And the other thing you can do before putting them down in the dirt is take some aloe. So if you're growing aloes, put a little bit of aloe on there, and that seems to help as well. All right. The purpose of the aloe is not for rooting hormone. The purpose of the aloe is to help prevent infection, which is a danger to your new cutting because you got a little cut end and it's going into a soil medium. All right. That's what you don't want your brand new cutting to get an infection from the dirty dirt that it's going into. So the aloe here helps to accelerate the healing of that wound and prevent it from getting an infection. So we're going to put this here to the side. We got our cuttings here. Oh yeah, one other thing before we get started. I'm just going to hit these a little bit, not much, just a little bit, like on the backside, to try to get a little abrasion. There we go. Ooh, there we go. For some reason, a little minor injury. Remember, auxins are produced by injury. Whenever you have injuries, auxins are produced. So I'm making a little minor injury nearby the bud. Here, if you can see that. Let me turn this around. A little tiny injury right there next to the bud. You see a little itty bitty flash of green? Well, we're going to want to cover that injury up with the aloe here in a moment so we don't get an infection in there. But the injury is supposed to tell it, hey, you need to do something about this. If you don't, you're going to have trouble. And hopefully the owl from the auxin for the injury will encourage it to make a root. There we go. Another way of doing this is whenever you're taking your cutting, you're getting close to where that bud is there, you can cause it to have a long extended tail of your bark with cambium. They call that a heel. So if you're reading about starting a cutting with the heel is that long tail of cambium there, which accomplishes about the same thing. It gives you a little variation, an injury with some exposed cambium and some of that tissue that can choose what kind of tissue it wants to become under the right circumstances. All right. B is asking, are those green or hardwood cuttings? Can you do this with plums and other stone fruits? All right. So these are green. It's hard to do hardwood cuttings of things, hard woody species. It's hard to do those. If you have things that are hard and woody, it's easier to do those with air layering. and I've got a video or two in the library there about air layering, particularly with the pecan tree, which is the video that if you look at that at this past week's video, there should be a link in there to air layering and doing it specifically with a pecan tree, which is notoriously tough to do. I managed to get one, and now I've got it, and I've got to take care of it. It's like, okay, I made the baby, now I got to take care of it. So I'm tending a pecan in the pecan tree in the backyard and trying to keep it as a bush pecan in the back tree. Yeah. Okay, I'm silly. There we go. So just a little minor injury in the interest of stimulating a hormone production here. So minor abrasion. There we go. And sometimes it really is just a little nick. Just a little nick. Oh yeah, muscadine. Muscadines you could start them from regular cuttings pretty easily too. I did a bunch. I think I did maybe about 40-50% success with just taking them and sticking them in peat moss and then putting them someplace where every now and then, whenever I remembered to water the garden, they would get watered too, and they took. So I wound up. I think I've got like 3 or 4 females and a male from just my surplus pruning of the vines this past spring. Because she is where to plant the start. Yeah, right. Where do they all go? I got all of them. I'm gonna go find some place where they aren't paying any attention. Just sneak them in late at night. Yeah. All right. Be silly. All right. Yeah, put this down here so I don't get the keyboard all messy. All right. Breeding hormone powder. Pecan or pecan? Which way do you say it? Oh my goodness. This is a new jar. This is a new jar of breeding hormone. Oh no. I thought I had one open already. My already open jar. Is it in here somewhere? Is it behind me? Is it on the shelf? Up there? Over here? No. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have 2 open jars, I guess. Yeah. Guerrilla planting. Make a date with your friends, girlfriends, your homies. Grab your shovels, flashlights. Have a couple people stand lookout. You go to some place that's public property, but kind of needs something. You get out there, get a couple of T-posts, and some of this stuff, and put your after you dig the hole and you get the tree planted, you put down 3 T-posts around it, and then put this orange tape up on there, and then so it stands out. They know, oh yeah, don't run over this with your brush hog. And then later on, whenever whoever it is, city, county, or whoever that's supposed to be taking care of the space comes along and they see the tree planted there and they see the post around it with the orange tape and everything, they're just going to go, okay, I guess I don't mow there. And they mow around it and it grows up. And then eventually it gets big enough that you can take your T-post back and take them to the next project. And nobody knew that it wasn't an official plan to plant that cherry tree there, or that plum tree, or that pecan, or whatever it was. Of course, there are some places where you can just go, "Hey, do you mind if I plant a tree here?" And the local municipality will go, "Sure, thanks. We'd appreciate that. Go for it." All right. So we're going to take, I just didn't tell you what I was doing. Yeah. So we take our cutting. We've already cut it at a 45-degree angle, so we know which side is up, which side is down. We've inflicted a minor injury somewhere nearby the bud down here, trying to encourage the production of roots. And then to make sure that injury doesn't, oh wow, this is slimy. To make sure that injury doesn't pose a health threat for the poor unfortunate tree, we put a little bit of aloe vera gel on there, straight out of the aloe vera leaf. And if we didn't have the indole 3-butyric acid to dip it in, that's what we're dipping it in, just a little bit outside your view there. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can put this up where you can see it. Ta-da! There. Okay, you can see it now. Barely, but you can see it. And I'm dropping cuttings on the board. Maybe I should put these. There we go. There we go. There's one. Okay, there it is. All right. All right. So cutting 45-degree angle, minor injury at the base. Ooh, tell you what, this stuff is snotty. Which should help encourage the production of roots, rooting hormone. If you've got it, if you don't have it, don't worry about it. You can use willow water. That 45-degree cut lets me know which end is the bottom. There we go. Noose pecana. See right there? So I put these over here to the side so I'd have room, and they kind of got jostled around in the bucket, but that's okay because I can tell which end is which now. So I did that little bit of work earlier. And I can take each one of these and just treat it like this. Probably want to do something so I don't have to keep turning my wrist about every time. Maybe I should. There we go. If we keep on doing this, if I'm doing this with a lot of them, it might turn into a repetitive stress injury. Wow. I hadn't thought about that. Oh, yeah. Watch the channel. Aloe Severia didn't do jack diddle. Yeah, it's not actually a rooting hormone. People say it's a rooting hormone. It's not a rooting hormone. About the best you can hope for is it gives your plant a little bit of protection from getting an infection at the cut end, and that's about it. But hey, I'll take it. Every cutting that I try to start that doesn't die from an infection at the cut end is another cutting I get to transplant out beginning of the next season. Yeah. Oh dear. So apparently the emergency services vehicles have figured out how to use the new turnpike. Oh joy. Looks like they're going to use it all hours of the day and night. Some days are better than others. Boy. All righty. Shoot, I wish I had music now. Somebody say something quick. We're just sitting here in a comfortable silence. Oh no. Boy. Well, I'm comfortable. Oof. I scratched that one a little too harshly, I think, maybe. Oh well. We'll see how it does. This is my first time attempting this with flowering Quince. Previously, I've taken suckers and transplanted with suckers. So I have a couple of like 1-year-old quince plants around the place growing from suckers. I want to have a lot more. Plan is, oh, yep, I'm brilliant. Oh, I'm a genius. The plan is, we kind of divide everything up in the yard up into quadrants. We have the area over here, mother-in-law's house, uh, is at the northwest corner. That's going to be an area with a little pond in it. So there'll be like a pond with goldfish over there. So northwest corner. Then we've got our front yard here, which is a separate quadrant or separate area zone, maybe. Yeah. And then we've got the area on the south side, which is basically a long, thin strip that has a pecan tree, a pear tree, a couple of hazelnuts, and at the moment it doesn't have a flowering quince, but it will have a flowering quince. I think I put a mulberry in there too. So we're trying to add in some more variety in there. So that's a different zone. And then, of course, we've got immediately behind the house this little quadrant right here. So this would be how many are we up to? 1, 2, 3, fourth zone there. We've got the area to the north of this house. That's a fifth zone. And then we start getting into the backyard environments. We've got one strip that's running straight back. That's good for understory stuff because there's a power line overhead. There's a sixth zone. Then we've got the corn patch. That's just pretty much going to stay the way it is. The duck run, that's going to stay the way it is. And then we've got areas surrounding the corn patch. There's a 7th and 8th back there. And there should be another one, like a 9th one eventually, whenever we get things cleared out in the back corner. And every one of these areas, like 9 different areas, we have space for a wide variety of things to put in there. Something that's going to be understory in a lot of cases if we don't have canopy, if we don't want canopy. In some areas we don't because we want to leave space for sunlight to get through and get to the corn patch, among other things. But every one of those spots is a place where we can have a quince, right? We could have a quince in each one of those spots. I have about 10 different quince plants. I've only got 2 now, so hopefully I'll get 8 more. That'll be good. And then the rest of them, I don't know. Maybe we'll see if we can. If I have any extra, I might sell them. Now mulberry, I've got 24 mulberry cuttings going. And those I know I'm going to have a pretty good chance of success. And I only need to plant maybe 1 or 2 more out here. So our catalog's going to have a fair number of mulberries come fall next year. That's quite a few mulberries. We got a couple of maples right now. We got a couple of black locusts and some red buds. I've got 3 red buds that are mature enough that they can go. Actually, I've got a few more than that, but I'd have to actually go dig them up out of the ground. There's some that are a little further along than I really am happy with transplanting, but I need to get them moved. So I suppose if somebody says, "Hey, I would like one of those like particularly more mature red buds that you'd sell for the same price as one of the 3-footers," just kind of let me know whenever you place your order, and I will be happy to accommodate your wishes. There we go. I've got a few that I have to deal with. There's 2 over here on the south side of the house that I hadn't really thought about it. They grew up, and I really liked them. Pardon me a second. I really liked them. They're providing good shade for that side of the house, and I really want shade on that side of the house. But I just realized that our gas line and our water line pass right by where the root zones are for those particular plants or those particular trees. And so letting them grow and get big may pose a risk to our plumbing, and I don't want that happening. So we're going to have to bring them down. And I'm getting ready to do a little expansion of the retaining wall system. Pardon me. This may sound loud. I got some of the breeding hormone powder on the microphone. Sorry about that, guys. We're getting ready to expand the retaining wall system on the south side of the house. So all of that is going to be great. Yeah. Brian said, heard Governor on radio today. Sounds good to me. He's doing Doge in Oklahoma. Right. I mean, yeah. Stop wasting the money. Stop wasting the people's money, guys. Holy crud. John's saying if you want to find water, just plant a water maple. Water maples. All right. So there we go. We've got all of our cuttings with a little bit of rooting hormone at the end right there. All right. Now it's time for us to take these guys over here. There's the peat moss. Nothing on my sleeves. Here's the magic trick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. And now I have a dirty finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I might trim some of these. Got a little bit more sticking out than I anticipated. 11, 12. There we go. Okay. And now I just stick them up and firm up around. Boy. Our peat moss is moistened by boiling hot water to kill fungus gnats and allowed to cool before handling. Very important. Otherwise, it'll hurt your fingers. There we go. I'm just pressing that peat moss down firm around these guys. And here in about 3 weeks or so, possibly even less, hopefully less, we should see buds popping out on these guys, leaves, maybe even flowers, and hopefully roots. There's one. All right, let me find my clippers real quick. Where did I put them? Where did I put my clippers? See, it's a challenge every day. No cocoa core. That's right. No cocoa core. I live in an area that coconuts do not grow in. And as a result, the cocoa core would have to be imported, from a coconut producing area, probably with a large amount of diesel fuel across oceans. And we have a domestic supply of peat moss. So I'm going to use the existing renewable resource of the peat moss that's produced here in North America, as opposed to paying a premium and burning a lot of fuel to import a resource that doesn't occur here naturally. But if you live in a place where, you don't make peat moss, and I've got it growing in ponds out back. It's great. It's native to here. All right, here we go. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Another pot, more of the same thing. I'm not going to tilt it in your direction. I look down here. Whenever I tilted that one, I spilled water out. So I'm not going to do that. Oops. All right, here we go. As before, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you kind of go in between those. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 8. And then in the middle, just make a little box. There's a grand total of 12 holes. And we got 12 more cuttings. Just drop them on in there. So whenever you find out if you miscounted. 3 holes left, and there's 1, 2, 3 more cuttings. All right, so that's 24 altogether that we just made. Of this 24, I don't know what my success percentage is going to be because I have not done cuttings of quince before. This is the first time doing it, so I don't know what to expect. But we've hedged our bets as best as I can by starting them from dormant wood and by using a rooting hormone and something to help prevent infection as well, and doing our best to stimulate natural auxins, which are the trauma response hormone that the plant produces automatically whenever you injure it. So between all of that, we've got, I guess, as good a chance as any to get cuttings out of this. Hopefully you get like 40%. That'd be nice. It'll be 40%. 9 plants. I can do with about 9. Like I said, I've got 10 different zones to put these guys in, and only 2 plants out there. So yeah, I need at least 8 more plants. So if I can get 9 of them to root, that'll be awesome. All right. This is going to go up on a shelf in my spare room. We have a fairly large window there. And so we're going to put that there so we can get a little bit of sun. You don't want this to get full sun, but partial sun is good. The reason you don't want it to get full sun is because full sun is just going to dehydrate these cuttings. All right. I'm dehydrating. So partial sun, a little bit of sun, and then as they start to put on leaves, that little bit of sunshine will be enough to feed them just a little bit of sugars from photosynthesis. That little bit of sugars is going to help them with their energy that they need to put on a little bit of roots. And here pretty soon, with any luck, these little twigs are going to have turned into flowering quince plants. And there's the other 12. Ta-da-da-da. All right, guys. So that's it. That is it. Yeah, that's the magic trick right there. Yep. Vicky says, I hope you moisten your peat moss with boiling water. That's yep. I've mentioned that a couple of times in this particular show. So yeah, that's what we did. I put the kettles on the stove, got it up to boil, doused it good, and then we had to wait for a bit for it to cool back down so we can handle it. Oh my. Tonight I'm having tea. It's not coffee. It's Brian says the space looks orderly. Finally, it has not looked orderly in a while. Not looked orderly in a while. Having the green screen was kind of a blessing, but of course the green screen's out at the laundry right now, so we just have to make do with the room as cluttered as it happens to be at the moment. So I guess isn't too bad. Yeah. We still have to get a lot of the books sorted out and put it on the bookshelf the right way. Bees saying thanks for a great live. Well, thank you very much for coming in and watching. Yeah, we're about at the end of it here. I'm just kind of wearing out 5 or 6 minutes, so we have a full hour. Why, thank you, John. Tell you what, having hard copies of stuff does come in handy. I've got all kinds of books around here. Let's see, this one is Thunder in the Sky. It's Thomas Cleary. It's a book for crazy Taoists. The first half of it, if you're not if you're not really a a long time Taoist, is going to be a little bit confusing because it's going to use concepts that takes a little bit getting used to comprehend. The second half, see, this is actually two different books in one. Let's see. This book, if you ever look for it, it's by Thomas Cleary. It's called Thunder in the Sky. The first half of it is a work called The Master of Demon Valley. It's more on practical applications. The second one is more on general Taoism, and it's called The Master of the Hidden Storehouse. The Master of the Hidden Storehouse includes a little section called The Way of Government. Let me see here. The Way of Government. I'm going to read from this because it's good. I mean, this is really good. You're saying that we just got a new one, right? Here in the U.S. So it says here, people have no way to know how cold or hot the four seasons will be, or the courses of the sun, moon, stars, and planets. Well, I guess we have astrologers. They know, but who keeps up with all that stuff? If they knew precisely how cold or hot the seasons were going to be and how the celestial bodies would course, then all living beings would find their proper places and be secure in their productive activities. Then again, you never know. This could have been written before they came up with astrology. So I was be like, we don't know yet. Public servants also have no way to know how the rulers will distribute rewards and punishments, entitlements and emoluments. If they knew just how the rulers will distribute rewards and punishment, titles and emoluments, then everyone, near and far, worthy and unworthy, would employ their talents and powers to the fullest in order to serve usefully. When trust is complete, the world is secure. When trust is lost, the world is dangerous. When the common people labor diligently and yet their money and goods run out, then contentiousness and antagonistic attitudes rise, and people do not trust each other. Wow, doesn't that sound familiar? When people do not trust each other, this is due to unfairness in government practices. When there is unfairness in government practices, this is the fault of officials. When officials are at fault, penalties and rewards are unequal. When penalties and rewards are unequal, this means the leadership is not conscientious. Now, when the leadership is conscientious, then penalties and rewards are uniform. When penalties and rewards are uniform, then officials obey the law. When officials obey the law, then order reigns. When order reigns, the common folk find their places and interact trustingly. So we know that when the people do not trust each other, it is because the leadership is not conscientious. So, we've had this issue here in the United States, probably in other countries too, where the people just don't trust each other, and it is on the account of non-conscientious leadership. I mean, call a spade a spade. It is what it is. We begin a new paragraph. The master of the hidden storehouse lived in the state of Chu for 5 years. The king of Chu sent one of his nobles to him with a gift of silk and jewels, extending an invitation to the court of Chu. The king said to the master, I am an insignificant person, lacking in virtue, a disgrace to the throne. The weather here has become irregular, with wet and dry spells at the wrong times, causing the people to suffer. How can I clear up this problem? This seems to be an awful lot to ask from just a regular sage, but okay. The master of the hidden storehouse said to the king of Shu, flooding is a yin disturbance. In government, yin typifies punishment. In social matters, yin typifies personal bias. Drought is an excess of yang. In government, yang that would be heat, right? In government, yang typifies reward. In social matters, yang typifies plenitude. It seems to me that whenever there is a flood or a drought, the rulership should rectify punishments and rewards, and the officials should eliminate personal biases and beware of excesses. Then the corresponding problems will disappear, and 100 blessings will arrive day by day. Like, what in the world does that have to do with the weather? But here's the thing. If the people have trust of each other and they have trust that their laws are going to be just and they have trust in the systems that they're working in, then whenever you do have harsh times that come along, whenever you have droughts or you have bad weather, floods or droughts, either one can be disastrous. There is so much as too much is a good thing. Then you have a population that's resilient that can respond to these troubles and they can handle them without issue. So the fact that there was a drought or the fact that there are floods are not so great whenever you have a population that can actually trust each other and treat each other as neighbors and come to each other's aid whenever there are times of trouble. But whenever you don't have the trust, then you can't get that. It's hard to get that back, but we have to work at getting it back. We have to work at getting it back. And the governments, they never were good for anything. All right. Let me see here. It goes on and on like this. I'm not going to bore you with all of this. Maybe it wouldn't be boring, but we have all kinds of stuff like this on the bookshelf. That's the sort of things that I have to read over here. I'm going to put this back where it came from, and of course, I'm going to get our newly made cuttings here put away in the auxiliary room, guys. I'm so glad you joined us tonight for our making of cuttings live. Hopefully you found the video informative or entertaining, maybe a little bit of both. And if you did, you know what to do. I'll catch you next time. Until then, get out there. Keep growing. Oh. And don't forget, because God is good, remember to be kind.